computer.
Okay.
Let's see. Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Ken at Tortoise
Okay.
Capital, and we're proud to listen to Chunlong Lee and his annual report on work in progress. And he's got the all-important butterfly from the Chuangzi. Good morning, Chunlong. The floor is yours.
Hi, good morning, Ken. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Chunlong Li. Today, I will talk about how do I learn Dr. Chunlong's teachings. Basically, I'll talk about a little bit about myself. There's 5 strategies I use to learn Dr. Chunlong's teachings. So I born in northeast of China, immigrated to Canada in 2002. I worked as a civil structural engineer in China and Canada, basically in the energy sectors. So my personality type is INTJ, that's typical for traders. My introvert is 59%. It's a very introvert. That's how I behave, how I think, how I interact with people. I did a test about the one-subs trader type. Back in 2017, my type is a detailed trader because as an engineer, I focus on details. That's what I did for my job, design drawings, review drawings, check drawings. That's a detailed trader. And I do the test again in 2019 when I was halfway in my super trader program. Now it's become a strategic trader. I think that's something happened within that time, good or bad. So I started my trading in 2014. No other reason, just because I have some free time when I work. I work on construction site. So basically my task, is less than the office. So I start try to trading, gradually take some trades. But in February 2018, I made a big mistake. Traded one symbol that's short the weeks. So I lost 75 hours in one day. So back at that time, I have no system rules, no position sizing strategies, no discipline, just trade. So after the February 2018, I thought, okay, that's enough. I searched and found Dr. One-Stop Super Trader program. Back then, it's a 3 years program. So I joined the program 2018, May of 2018, finished the 3-year program. I finished all lessons. I wrote my handbook. I developed 3 systems in May 2021. So meantime, I learned the trading from Mark Boucher and Chuck Whitman. Basically, I learned and trade slow rates. A version of Cowboys handle patterns is a swing trading to position holding trading. I also learned mechanical rates, except my momentum trading strategy. That's a swing trading. Also learned the short-term rates, basically 15 minutes charts, try to catch some kind of bottom or breakout. Learned another strategy from Chuck Whitman. He called BB gun is Bollinger Band squeeze and breakout. Also learned from Mark Boucher about market timing models. Basically, it's how do you check out the market reaction to market turning point, the correction, warning signal, correction over, all those stuffs. So I treated all those stuff, but the result is not positive for me, you know. So, so in this year, in May, you know, pretty much we know we are in the bear market. So I exited all my strategies. That's a long-term, you know, long-term position. That's a follow Mark Boucher's strategy. You know, whatever he has a monthly newsletter called PSL, I follow that. That's the only strategy I have right now, even though more than 50% in cash for that strategy. You know, when I learn trading, everybody says, you know, exit is the most important part of trading, but less have taught, you know, how to do that. You know, when I review my trading, I found out it's actually the exit. It's not the strategy I'm trading not working. It's my exit. My challenge is, you know, that's a follow rules, but how do I apply the follow rule, the simple rules in the complex situations, you know? My challenge is I often stay in loss trap too long. So I try to study more to improve my exit strategies. I studied O'Neill's book again and again. I studied Mark Minervini's book. He talked heavily about how to exit. But what these two experts talk about is a long-term exit. It's not short-term, no swing trading. So at that time, I participate the VTI Super Trader Accountability Group. That's a weekly meeting. So during the meeting, one super trader talk about, you know, buy trading, you know, that's a Ken's teaching. Okay, I think that's interesting. Another super trader talk about visual box. I found that's okay. That's probably something new. I don't know. And that's interesting. Okay, I want to try it out. So at that time, Ken post on the Basecamp talk about creativity 202 course. You know, back then I think, okay, I'll have learned enough trading strategy. Probably something I need to learn how to improve my thinking. That's why I registered for the creativity 202 course. So I still pay more attention to Ken's teaching. You know, I want to learn. Okay, so Ken posts a lot on VTI Basecamp. You know, he posts snapper trading, talk about compounded critical states. You know, that's give me a big aha moment. You know, how we treat, why we take signals. So the signals is a compounded critical states. And then another post, he talked about a Wu exit. You know, that all about exit. That's interesting. Also, you know, interesting is how he used the term Wu Wei. That's from Asian Chinese Lao Tzu teaching, right? That's interesting. I want to find out more about that. Also, I reviewed again the 2-hour battle drill. I think I can talk about the trader, any trader should listen to that 1,000 times. Okay, I'll try. So that's how I start my journey with Dr. Chunlong. My mentality is, okay, it is free, why not? I take it. So meanwhile, I found out another very useful, very important post. In that post can have his student presentations. The one very, very important, very, very useful presentation is a Kanhan presentation about swing trading. I watched that. I found, that's really useful for me. That's make me inspire more to learn from Ken. Okay, there's another presentation. Philip Wu talk about how to take Conan notes. That's interesting. I quickly look through all other presentation. I found, okay, this is how can Lang's students learn, and that's the result. Okay, I want to learn more from Ken Lang. But meanwhile, there's too many information because it can give you access to Patreon. There's a nightly podcast, weekly and podcast, the Q&A, sessions. There's just too many information. I was overwhelmed by the information. I thought about that. How do I learn? That's so much information. And then, there's a saying, that's a Kansas saying, okay, fine, pick one and go. Okay. Well, I think that's the right strategy. I'll take that. If, my proposition is, if I hear something important enough times, I will get it. Then I'll start randomly, searching whatever interesting for me. I watch it, I read it. Then I found another interesting post from Ken. There's a attachment. It's the glossary of terms. That's version 3. Okay, if I want to learn from Ken, I better understand that. So I read that. I found some interesting. I'll go back to Patreon. I search the terms like, the WMB3. Okay, what it is. I watch that. Then I'll go back to the glossary of terms and read it again. Found something I really don't understand, and go back to Patreon, search again, watch it. This is how I quickly learn from Ken. Later on, can have another post called Microlearning. I think about that. Okay, that's how I did my learning in about 2 or 3 months. That's microlearning. I get enough information from my learning, get enough understanding from Ken. Now what? How do I get deeper? How do I broaden my learning? And so I think about that, and then I call, how to learn the tools, which can also teach a lot about the tools, right? How do I learn? The first tool, I want to learn is taking notes. So there's a lot of Conan notes presented by Ken's students. I read that and also found several videos Ken talk about how to take notes. My challenge back then is learn to take notes. I have an education about 20 years education from high school to graduate school. my challenge is I don't take notes. That's just my habit. But I do realize, look at all those Connect notes. Can student take? That's really, really useful. Then I decide to take my Connect notes. Then, another student talked about how he used Notion to do everything else. Okay, I'll try Notion. So I combined Connect notes and Notion to take my notes. The Notion is free anyway. I tried out. So what I found out from Notion is easy to manage the contents, the page and the sub pages. You can, drag and link everything, rearrange everything, and easy to use template and database, and easy to insert PDFs, pictures, charts, and link to you whatever other notes you take, you can link that. I use OneNote for my database, so I can link everything in my OneDrive. Then if you use keywords, it make it searchable. So that's how I found my learning history. Yeah, if I remember some video I watched, I can search and click the link. It's easier. Then when I take the notes, I have to have action items. So later on, I can review action items, put all together in another database within Notion. So taking notes, that's slow me down. In the first stage in microlearning, I watch a lot of videos, read a lot of documents, posts, but I did not take notes. That's progressed me very quick. But now I take notes, it slows me down. The benefit is, I have to think what is important, what to take note. Then I have to summarize what I learned. All those slow me down, but really, really useful. Okay, that's tool one, Connect Notes. Another tool I learned from Ken is after action review. It's a thought process matrix. In one way, we take the process, plan, prepare, execute, access. Whatever task, whatever action, we follow that process. Even small or large action, we follow that access. How to do the review? You found you use another process called sustain improve action. If you search Ken's post, you found, there's a lot of teaching about this, just the matrix, how to do the after action review. We can apply this after action review to anything, small or big. And what I found out, the process is the fractal. Our thought, our thinking process is fractal. So I use that bi-weekly, 2 weeks or longer. I follow example or template. What I found out, if I really serious about that, I cannot progress. That's a big task. So I decided to be careful. I open my template, put action there, put something there, think about that, and then if make it quick. If you think the two process, the PPEA, times the SIA, that's a big matrix. There's 9 matrix about how we think. If we take that really serious, finish everything there, I cannot. That's just too much. So what I decided, take an action, quickly review that, think about that, get an insight, then go to other, task. That's what I did after action review. So the next tool I learned, how to do the bi-weekly planning. I found the weekly is too short. I tried weekly. At the beginning, I tried even daily. I found out, daily is too much. Then I tried weekly. Weekly is still too much. I cannot finish something serious weekly. And so I switched to bi-weekly planning. So my approach is, to take the planning seriously. I'll take the planning with purpose, with objectives, with action items. Sorry, Ken, I have a calling. So I actually review my plan weekly, even the plan is bi-weekly. Then I summarize what I learned, how to improve, just take quick notes. So I found that's really helpful. That's another tool I learned from Ken. Then, because I'm in the creativity tool too, Ken ask his student have a work in progress. Then that's another really helpful tool. So I decided to use that. So my work in progress have a vision of objectives. The topic is ruthless risk management. That's, think about how I registered creativity tool too. I want to learn, manage my exit. There's a saying from Ken as a ruthless risk management or manage risk ruthlessly. That's my work in progress. So I review that weekly at start, then bi-weekly, combine that with my bi-weekly planning. I also do some intermediate reports, just summarize what I have done and let that evolve. I start with my exit, then that evolve into I learn Ken's snapper trading. I'll talk about that later. So another tool is master to-do list. So when I take notes, there are a lot of action items I think I should do later. So I combine all those actions into my master to-do list. My notes basically, freestyle notes. When I learn something, when I attend the nightly podcast, you cannot have much time. So just take a 1 second or 2 second notes. That's a one keyword. What I call that's a freestyle notes on any paper anywhere. That's freestyle notes. So the second one is my Connect notes. There are a lot of actions. Then, can teaching how to take learning journals. There you have to have action, right? So I have combined all those actions into my master to-do list, review and revise bi-weekly. Read that. Some action I realize I may never close, such as, I want to do the trading automation. I have no idea how to do it, but I want to do it. That's the really long term, may not be close anyway. So some need a mini campaign. The action need a mini campaign. I take 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, but still, follow that. Some can be done within hours that quickly close that. But I never delete action from that list. What I found out, I think I finished that. And then I review again. Oh, no, I haven't finished that yet. There's something new I need to do. That's the my to-do list. So the other tool, maybe not a tool, just how to dealing with my emotions. I call that empty bowls, surrender and rise up again. So, along the journey, when I try to learn all those stuff, I found out there's so many frustrating moments. What it is, too many pains. I just want to give up. I have to figure out how to rise up again. Hourly, I cannot take the pain again, like I do the trading, right? So that's hourly things. What do I do? Okay, I give up. I try something else. I give up now. Try something new. I think that's a useful strategy. Just surrender, okay? But daily, I cannot let the pain last longer than a day. What do? I exercise on the treadmill. Sometimes I take a light hiking with my wife. That's it. After the physical exercise, I can switch my mental state totally. Then, weekly, when I do the weekly summarize, okay, I feel I haven't learned anything. Yeah, I read and watch a lot of things. How do I apply that? That's also frustrated. And I need to get inspired again. What I did currently, that's attending creativity 202 sessions. Do the exercise, attend the live session. I found out that's super, super useful. That's my tools. I learned all those tools from Ken. So this is just an example, my notes taken by Notion. This is the pages. This is one page include many pages. It's also important Ken's terminology, or you call terms, or all those strategies. So this is just an example. So my next strategy is the mini campaigns. Okay, I learned something. I found something very, very important. I cannot take that lightly. I had to learn, go deeper. So that's what I call mini campaigns. That will take maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, even longer. So what I did is the 37 plus strategies, actually 42 strategies. There's a Conan notes about that. And there's a cancer video. You have to search to find out free. So the next campaign is a bar training. That's 42 videos courses. By taking that, just condition my mind to think of how to frame a trade, nothing else. I didn't take any notes, any theory notes, but just watch that video by video, what that done to me. That's a condition my mindset. Next campaign is Saturday Swing Framing podcast. That's a Ken Holmes style, how he frame his swing trading. I reviewed that recording from May 14, 2022. The next campaign I did, so the VTI e-learning courses as a swing trading courses, I did that twice. That's a call trading course. I did that twice. Also, I found from the course can talk about the ETF too. I searched, I cannot find it. I asked Ken and can send me the material I needed to learn that. So the next campaign I did is a read one week weekend report A to Z. That means from the first letter of the report to the end of the report. So that's not an easy task. I want to understand everything, every term there. Okay. But that's really, really not easy. So I did that probably several weeks, read it, found something I don't understand. I'll go back to my notes, go back to courses. I found out, the ETF2 is the typical thing. I don't understand. How do you frame that? What is you trading universe? What is the signal? What is Ken's definition of strength? What is the quality? All those stuff, I found it, I don't understand it. I go back to my notes, go back to learnings, find out. That's a really useful campaign for me. The next campaign I did, there's a few patterns. There's 7 patterns for the first generations. I read it, I think I understand it. I actually don't. So what I did, okay, I focus on one, the SSC and the oval. The 2 pattern is similar, but really not something different. Really critical different there. So what I did, I used Forex test 5, put on the indicator there, try to do that. I found that's useful campaign for me. So the other campaign I did, okay, I found out I need to review some recording from other other coaches. Why I did that, that's all about the market top. That's a Dr. One-Stop term, market top. Somebody else may call market classification. So I want to compare what I learned from Mark Boucher, compare that with Dr. Chunlong's, this is 2 different philosophy look at the market. So that's what I did. I reviewed that again. I take a whole week, review that. So another one is the research weekend recording. I'll tell you, that's really, really useful. There's how many traders there? 7 traders, probably. Watch again. Ken Hans, swing trading, all those stuff. I found really, really useful. I did that again. I call that a mini campaign. The next campaign I did is a cancer stocks. That's a sniper trading of the day. Normally, I think Ken is 5 to 10 trading every day, right? So what I found out, if I look at the charts, generally I look at the chart, I learn nothing from that. But if I think about a specific pattern, okay, there's a SSC signal I take. Sometimes I did this wrong. Then I back, how can do that? I just open all those dots, just look at the SSC. So maybe next I found out how can trade the kata 2. What exactly the rule there? Is my understanding right or wrong? Okay, I'll go back to all those charts only from the kata 2 or 3, whatever. I found that useful. If I read that generally, it's not that useful, still useful when I start my learning, but not that useful when I start my trading. The use, another way to say that, the useful way is have specific question and look at the chart again. That's my strategy, mini campaigns. So my next strategy is system thinking. So what do I think about system thinking? You know, Ken's teachings is all about system thinking or strategic planning. Now, this is how I understand that. So first one is RLCO and the Bollinger Band framework is a mental system. So mental system is system of systems. Now, there's many systems there, but this framework is a mental system. It's applied descriptive statistics, facts and database. So no predicting, nothing to predict, just data and facts. And the fractal nature of that framework and multi-time frames. What is really important for me is the value of price ladder. The dragon, the Bollinger Band, the river, the fly pan, these three. Previously, there's an important task. How do you define your profit targets? Okay, you have an entry. What's your profit targets? That's not really clear for me before I learn the RLCO Bollinger Band framework. So once I read Ken's framework, that's make it really clear for me. So, every night can talk about that. Here's the dragon, here's the river, here is the Z2, here is the Z3. When you switch to next higher level time frame, again, you have another long-term or mid-term target. That's really make that task clear for me. When we understand the multi-time frame, multi-lens analysis, that's really useful, tools to do that. So next, system thinking is how can approach VUCA and SWOT. I think traders' primary task, how do we see the ecosystem? That's a VUCA, right? How do we approach that? That's our internal world, that's our thinking. External world, that's a VUCA, right? How to do that? So can have a good template how to do the SWOT. I found that's really useful. Then in many videos can talk about how do we live? How do we live as a trader? I also found out that there's a very interesting teaching, can talk about the 4 sage from ancient China. That's Lao Tzu, Gong Tzu, Confucian, and Meng Tzu. I found that super useful, insightful for me, at least. That's, my culture background, how I grew up, I read. Then the most important, how do you manage your risk? When you manage your risk, how do you manage your mental state? That's why the bar play important for any student. Can talk about, okay, this is how do you manage your exit? What is your right mind? What could be wrong? How do you manage your mental state? So I think what makes it different, Ken's teaching from other coaches' teaching is the adult learning models. That's really useful. He not only teach what to learn, then he teach how to learn. For example, it's a conscious and competence model. You have to understand that to measure you learning. Okay, I learn it. I know the teaching. How do I apply that? I'm not competent to use that. So summary of that, so how do you learn to feel properly? That's how do you learn. That's most important teaching from Ken. How to feel properly. That's based on all those learning models. So how do I learn? So what I talk about in the past couple of minutes. So how do I think about the system thinking? Then how do I learn system thinking from Ken? So my proposition is you sketch a framework. You learn from Ken, but you have to sketch a framework. That may not be Ken's understanding. That's my understanding. Okay, that's a mental system, that system, and a subsystem. That's a sketch of the framework. And then I found a block from that matrix, such as the max-pin range compression. That's just a really small block in that framework. I found that block, I learned that, studied that. That's my approach. Then I attend Ken's daily and that's nightly, not daily, nightly podcast and a weekend report. I read that. My goal is try to understand every term. I also need to understand the mechanical trading because can use that as a trading idea generator. Okay. So when I learn all those, my next strategy is, try out. I use Forex tether simulated trading, learn all those stuff. So my next strategy, about system thinking is open to radically different possibility, opportunity. Why I do that? When I come to Ken's creativity tool, one belief I have is this. I have learned all trading strategies. I haven't been succeeded. I don't want to learn more trading. Okay, that's a belief I had. I closed my mind. Now, along the journey, I found, okay, I have to open my mind. That's a action item for me, open to radically different possibility. There's something new I had to learn. Maybe, I don't get something new every week, every month, but have to keep that in my planning, remind myself open to radically different possibility. So one example is this belief: your volatility is your friend, your profit. How radically different from this? Volatility is your risk. That's risk your loss. The new belief, volatility is your profit, is your friend. That's really paradigm change for me. Okay, that's what I mean about that. Now I talk about my most important strategy: trust and open-minded. Why is that? Because in Creativity 222, the live session, we talk about our stories, my story, my thinking. Now, can ask, okay, are you okay to record whatever you said and publish that to at least 10 students, student community, or even to the public? What do you think? I really struggle with that. Okay, my image may be ugly, my talking may be stumble, my idea may be stupid. Why one can't to record that? Okay, I struggle with that. Then, there are another free course from Ken called True Storytelling. I watch that. I get an idea. Okay, what's wrong with that? Who cares about my ugly face, ugly emotional face, painful talking? Okay, nobody cares. I don't care. Whatever you think, I'm okay with that. I can release that to the universe. Then I send an email to Ken. Okay, I'm okay. Whatever I said, you can record that. Release that to the universe. That's what I call, and that's not my idea. That's what we call the circle, right? You trust the circle. So that's really important strategy to attend any teaching. So with that strategy, I'll talk about what is really Creativity 222. What that course teach is really majorly it is about strategic thinking. There's many historical winning strategies teach. That's also two kind of exercise. One kind is based on the military background. Another is the trader's exercise. The trader's exercise about teaching, about trading. Then I think the course is about trading. How do you trade? So the next is spiritual and psychology. Like Dr. Wansap says, everything you do is psychology, right? 100% psychology. Then what I found out also interesting, there's some spiritual teaching, such as feel the poem. At the beginning, I struggle with that. I don't understand poem. So, but when I dig deeper, I've found out that really is some spiritual learning there, really deep. So, in summary, the course is strategic strategic thinking, is trading, is spiritual teaching, is psychology. At the beginning, can ask everybody have a work in progress. My work in progress is ruthless risk management. I let that project evolve along, the journey. The beginning point, improve my exit strategies. Now it's evolve into, I want to trade the sniper trading. Okay. So along that, I already talked about how do I do the master to-do list, how to do the planning weekly, bi-weekly. Then, inspired by all those students weekly, be accountable to the course, be accountable to myself. Now, at the current moment, my work in progress is integration. So far I have learned a lot from Ken. How do I integrate my knowledge into trading skills? Okay. I know what is the patterns, SSC, kata 2, ovals, I can see it, but how do I trade it? What I found out is it's not easy, even though, I see the pattern. My psychology make me not taking the trade. That's my challenge right now. But, can teach is you feel safe, feel forward, feel fast, and feel often. How important that teaching is. Only when you start to think about trading, how do I do that? How do I learn to feel properly? First I make a plan. My plan is such, I have to do some simulation trading. Then I do some paper trading. Okay, what I found out from paper trading is that's not really useful for me. Then I start pilot trading. I think I can trade that with, like $100 risk. Quickly I found out, no, I'm wrong. I reduced that to $20. No, I cannot take that. Still painful to take the loss. Now I reduced that to $5 risk. That's what happened to my sniper trading right now. $5 risk. What is that? That is 3 shares of Tesla, 20 shares of IWM, 6 shares of DIA, Diamond. I think I covered everything I want to talk. When I write this, there's a lot of thinkings. When I talk, probably, I haven't covered something. But I can send my PPT to Ken. Anybody interested can send me an email. I'm happy to answer any questions. At this moment, Ken, do you have any question to me?
Yeah, I'm just gonna review some of my notes with your
Okay,
permission.
sure.
So let me go ahead unshare that so I can share my screen.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, I mean, I went through these were I almost ended up making a list of all your notes. But
Okay.
the things that really mattered to me that really came
Yeah.
forward was, if I start from the end, the insight about what was your man. Let me increase the size of it a little bit. Hold on. Font. Just so we can see it a little easier. Yeah, the manageable, comfortable risk, the one that allows you to let the system be the system and let you be you.
Yeah.
The intersection between those two, where is the comfort level, is the manageable, comfortable risk that you've turned into a specific position size for every target that you trade. That's such a sense of relief, and the size of the weight that you can handle safely. I was thinking about the fail fast, fail forward, and I remembered it. Fail first and always. I learned. FAIL. And if
Okay.
you substitute the word learn for fail, it's a lot easier to swallow that pill.
Okay.
And I think this process of paper, pilot, production, diversified um, is solid. That's you're thinking like a production engineer, and that's what we want is to be able. How quickly can I put this machine into action? I still got to care for the machine and maintain the machine, but that machine is leverage, and it's what creates other time. And I think this piece here, the integration of knowledge into skills that you talked about at the end. What we do is what we know. You know, we tend to emphasize, well, what do I think I know? What can I say in my head? There's a difference between understanding and doing it. At some point, you have to accept that what you do is what you understand. Part of the doing is what your limits are and how much variation. I know soccer moves. I can't always perform them perfectly. So what I actually know is that there's some variation in performance when I'm playing. And the thing is to find out how well I'm playing and play within that space of skill. And it changes sometimes. And so who you are as a trader matters. Your mindset, your mood, some of those things. Yeah, I also think that weekly encouragement and support. So you're using 2 weeks sort of as your campaign cycle, but I think there's something important in the weekly affirmation. I think of things as a standard week. That's how my own personal life is kind of a natural rhythm. That there's things that I do once a week, every week without fail. There's things that I try to do every day, like walk the dogs. But those weekly tasks, there's something important about the weekly cycle that allows me to check in. And I like that you have figured out that the 2 weeks for you is sort of the plan, prepare, execute, assess, that it takes 2 full weeks to do all of that to the level of depth that you want. I think your action and commitment going forward about focusing on the sniper and the ruthless risk management is very sensible. The sniper gives you plenty of opportunities. It has very clear patterns for target selection and patterns for use and then assessment and very clear exits. And then the ruthless risk management allows you to always, always, always protect first. Always have an out. I think that's excellent. I thought this one here about our authentic face is actually beautiful when you give it to the universe. There's no such thing as a bad gift if the intention is pure. It's the purity of the intention that makes the gift valuable, not the intrinsic value of the thing. Things don't have intrinsic value. The value of things is in what we ascribe to them. And if you're giving your authentic face to the universe with purity of intention, that's what the universe appreciates. is finally somebody gives an honest and truthful gift from the heart. And I think that really comes through in the the community of practice that we and little tribe that we have in the creativity weekly sessions. You can see how over time that the trust just continues to grow. It started with trust. It is now trust and confidence as we generate that. And I like this one too. The volatility is your friend, like electricity. Yeah, you should
I heard
respect.
that from you.
Yeah, you should respect electricity. Let me spell it correctly. Electricity. You should respect electricity, but if you want leverage, you have to be able to use it. That's what gives you an edge. And as an engineer, I think you really know that. I think the way you have internalized sketch your framework and find the bricks is you having internalized your own learning process for how to acquire new knowledge in order to put it into action quickly. If you have mapped out your own learning process, then you learn faster in a way that you can trust, and then it accelerates how soon you can start the paper trading, piloting, and production. So, paying attention to how you learn is something that really came through. That once you had sorted out how to make notes in a way that was useful to you, allowed you to start leveraging your engineering training and all that. Yeah, and I think that the four sages, it really does uh, help a lot for me too, because my training and background, it really goes back to those guys. I am much more traditional Chinese scholar than anything else, if I could say it that way. And that studying those 4 points of view has really helped me with that zero state and balance, and then the owl meditation to routinely process all of the stuff that happens each week. I have to do that every week in order to get all the way through it. I do that before I prepare my notes for our weekend sessions because that's how I actually see what was going on and bring it all into focus. Yeah, and I think if we just put a plug in for Ken Hum, and the live coach, I don't know if there's any better thing that we do each week than just watching him as a craftsman prepare his charts and think his way through it. And you see the bravery that he has when he takes those positions and how they follow through. And he really learns in public so well. I'm really impressed with the way he does that. Yeah, the note taking and the note making, there's something about the personal construction of knowledge. When you make notes in a way that is useful to you, it it creates the connection in the moment, and then it's your ability to go back and reinforce that connection. So the notes have to be made in a way that you find satisfying. You have to learn that in the same way that you learn, patterns of action. It's a trade and a trading system just like anything else. You're trading time and attention for long-term knowledge creation. So that actually is a trading system in that sense. And there's a very large payoff if you do that well. This one I want to just highlight the importance of the compound critical states and the popcorn idea. We talked about that just yesterday in the creativity session. The idea that how the compound critical state that we can identify is a special moment for that target, that it has this much higher probability of making a large surprise move that's you can't predict exactly what direction, but you can predict that the size of the move is going to be great, and the bigger the move, the more the volatility, the clearer that becomes. And that's why the volatility is our friend, is that the explosion of the move is what makes it tradable. And we're not surprised when it happens, we're anticipating it. So that's where one of the edges are that we have. And then I would just say, the first two themes that you mentioned were all about the practice of trading, of putting it into action, demonstrating mastery, understanding by doing. You know, the sword is the swordsman, the bowl is the craftsman. It's the making that does it. So I just was really impressed with everything you did there. I just really respect the hard work that you put in, and I can't wait to share this with other folks too, so they can see straight by the numbers what it takes to get this done. And I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you and want to express my gratitude. I expect that we're going to get some questions for you. So round two of this is going to be
Sure.
some collection of questions, and we'll go through a dialogue with you. So I want to just say thanks again for the effort, and that's a pretty good hour at work right there. That's all I got for you now. I'm going to let you get back to work. You
I
got,
really want to say thank you, Ken.
yeah.
Within past 5 to 6 months, I learned so much from you. It's
Well, it's been
really,
mutual. You've taught me how to be a better teacher, that's for sure, and I've adopted a lot of your ideas as a student myself, and so have the others. Your inspiration and the example that you set has been very inspiring to the folks that work with you, and that's part of what it makes those weekly check-ins so powerful, is that we see other people doing the same work in their own way, and it inspires us to do it too. So you're you're a scout in that sense. You're showing the way. So
the other thing I want to say, if I may,
sure.
within our student groups, we talk about, you know, often talk about this. Okay, why can't do that? He didn't do that for money.
Yeah.
He gave a lot of information.
Yeah.
So in my PPT, there's a sentence saying the information is there and it's free, but it's only there for ready mind. We have to be ready as students to learn
Yeah.
from any expert. But I really want to say thank you, Ken,
Yeah.
for your generosity. Never see such generous person in my life. Thank
Well,
you,
look in the
Ken.
mirror. When you look in the mirror, you'll see a very generous person. The fact that
Okay, thank you.
you are showing how to share, the interface. That's the true act of bravery. That everything else is easy compared to that. So I want to say thanks for your example. That's important stuff.
You're welcome.
Take good care, my friend, and we will see you soon.
Thank you, Ken. Bye-bye.